Yah does not, Yah will not simply leave you hanging, lost in your wondering as to whether you actually heard him or not. He will give you verifying proof if you're willing to seek him for it. Hi, this is Barry Phillips, a 10-minute Torah, day 4 of Lecha. Let's go continually now in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 12. Verse 7 says, And Yahweh appeared to Avram and said, To your seed I give this land. And he built there a Mizbeach, a slaughter place to Yahweh, who had appeared to him. Verse 8 says, And from there he moved to the mountain east of Bethel, and he pitched his tent with Bethel, the house of El, on the west side, and Ai on the east, and there he built a slaughter place to Yahweh, and called on the name of Yod-Heh Vav-Heh. So, previously we understood that Avram heard this voice. He heard Yah calling to him, saying to him, Leave where it is that you are and come to this place that I will show you. Not even given a final destination, it would seem, but rather he was given a great opportunity, a grand invitation to come and find a place that Yah says will be yours. He says, now, when you get there, or as you arrive there, in the process of being there, I'm going to bless you and cause you to become a blessing to all the clans on the face of the earth. So this is a grand invitation with an even greater promise. Now, Avram has no children. He has no heir. His wife appears to be barren. He has some things. He has some servants, but life is not all that he desires it to be. And he is now in this process of learning who this one that speaks to him is and how it is that he is to relate to him and encounter him. Now we come down to verse 7. It says that Yahweh appeared, the word here, re'eh, which means to be visible, to see something, to perceive something, to gaze at, to comprehend. We don't know exactly what or who appeared before his eyes and in what fashion. We're not given those details. However, whoever he saw, he knew who it was. For this appearance that appeared to him speaks to him, saying, To your seed I will give this land. Hark, you are going to have an heir. Now, God didn't tell him the process of that heir. It would have been assumed, perhaps, okay, Sarai and I are going to have a child, a son, an heir. Had no idea the process is necessary over relationships and time and ordeals and encounters that it would take to actually get there. But Yah says to him, as he appears to him, this land I give to you. So now we're talking about an inheritance, a tangible, physical something. A concept has now become concrete. It's no longer abstract. It is verifiably this land, the land I'm standing on. Promises, promises, we hear people say. You watch the movies and some character looks at another character in dire straits and says to them something along the lines of, it's all going to be okay, I promise. People say that to us while we're still in the middle of whatever it is we're in the middle of, and we might wonder, how can you make such a certain promise when you don't have the ability to fix what's wrong? How can you say, I promise it's all going to be okay? Based on what? However, when Yah says, I promise, this is a vow that I make to you, I promise that this will happen, Considering the source of the one who is making the promise, we know verifiably it is absolute fact. He promised, he will do. Because, as I said yesterday, Romans 4 says that he who promised is also able to perform the promise. So whatever it is that you believe that Yah has spoken to you from his word or by his spirit, maybe someone's given you a prophetic word and you have verified it in prayer that it is indeed so. If Yah is the one who is the source of this promise, time will produce the verification of the promise with tangible fact. It will come into your possession. So he builds a slaughter place to him there, and he calls on the name Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Now I find it interesting that mankind, in our previous episode at the Tower of Babel, mankind is also building and constructing, but instead of building something by which they can call on the name of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, of Yahweh, they build an edifice, a structure to make a name for themselves. Herein is a key for us. Those who are a part of this world system will build monuments for their own name. Those who belong to Yahweh the Most High, the sovereign of the earth, and the promised protector, Messiah of Israel, those who build an altar to him will call on his name. So, I started to say divide. Let's sort those that we know. Are you building a name for you? Or are you living in such a way as to bring honor and glory to the Most High? We have to ask ourselves that question. And sometimes we may need to ask ourselves that question a few times or regularly, even during the course of the day. Motives change, attitudes change, situations change. In every situation, we are called on to give honor and glory to his name. So we mentioned earlier in the week about the famine and the necessary move down to Mitzrayim. Today we don't have time to go into all of the ramifications, the taking of Sarai by Pharaoh, etc., of all that transpired there. But in the end result, Avram and his nephew Lot and Sarai, his wife, they all are returning home, and they're exceptionally wealthy and rich through this process. Chapter 13, verse 1 says that Avram went up from Mitzrayim into the south, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot went with him. And Avram was very rich in livestock, silver, and in gold, and he went on his journey from the south as far as we're back to the house of El, or Elohim, Bet-El, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bet-El and Ai, and to the place of the slaughter place where he made there at the first, and there Avram called on the name of Yahweh. Let our pattern be that where we go, we build altars, that our altars stand. In other words, while it may not be a physical pile of stones or a kneeling bench of some sort, but rather that the import and the power of our prayers continue their work, and when we come back to such a place that we find that those prayers are being answered. I would encourage you, if at all possible, to find your place. It could be kneeling beside your bed, sitting at your desk, your kitchen table, a place on your property. It used to be that we felt it was important to drive down to the local church house and go to the altar there and pray there. But find your place where you pray. And it's not as though you can't pray any and everywhere. You can. But sometimes it's important to have your spot where you know that Yah has heard you in the past, answered you in the past, and that you've discerned his voice there. If you can find such a spot, frequently visit it and ask that the prayers that you have prayed in the past will continue to be heard and to be answered. May Yah hear you as you pray today. And if you have a chance, pray for me. Appreciate it. And I appreciate it if I see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.